Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report Podcast, energized by Celsius, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. It is a Monday edition of the show, a brand new week of Pewter Report Podcast. Hope everyone had a great weekend, and we thank you for joining us on today's show. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place at PewterReport.com, Scott Reynolds. And today we're going to be talking about the absurdity of the amount of disrespect that your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are getting in the media, both nationally, publicly too, damn it.
It's absurd.
It's ridiculous.
It's absurd,
as some would say, because people are, sending daggers to the Bucs on all levels, not just because they lost Tom Brady, not just because of who their quarterback is, but so many people are doubting the Bucs. They've become gifs, memes, and everything else in between, and we're going to put our fist down and say no more disrespect for the Bucs. Ain't that right, Scott?
I think it's right, Matt. Us are sitting here saying on June 5th that this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team is going to win the NFC South or is going to make the playoffs. But I'm not saying they're not going to do it either. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that this Buccaneer team, Matt and Pewter people out there, it's got more Pro Bowl talent than any other team in the NFC South. I went through all the rosters and I did the tabulations. Tampa Bay has 9 players that have been to at least one Pro Bowl. And not to mention a whole host of players that still, Matt, are on this team from that 2020 Super Bowl win. Mm-hmm. So this team knows how to win. They've got enough talent on this roster. I think that the last 2 drafts have been at the very least solid, if not spectacular. We'll see. I'm higher on this year's draft than I was in last year's draft, but last year's draft produced, a new punt god in Jake Camarda and some pretty good players that are either going to be role players, semi-stars, or star players. Guys like Rachaad White, who was on the podcast for a second time, Matt, last week. Cade Otton, who we need to get on the podcast.
Yes.
And, and a guy that is going to be on the podcast coming up. No, not Logan Hall. We'll get him too. But Luke Goedeke is going to be on the podcast this Thursday. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the list of Pewter Report gets and finds continues. Now, we've had Buccaneer players it's going to be 3 weeks in a row. We'll try to make it 4 and continue our streak all the way up to training camp. We'll see if we can get another player on after Luke Goedeke. But, Matt, I'm just not ready to say that this team is going to be bad this year, and we'll get into the different narratives. I wrote about it on Pewter Report, and we'll talk about it in the show today.
Yeah, so this episode is inspired by an article that Scott wrote a couple of days ago titled "The 3 Terrible Bucs Narratives from the National Media," and there's a couple of different topics. Obviously, Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask is one of them. But yeah, you're right, Scott. If we're going to start with the most recent draft classes over the last 2 years, it leaves you room for optimism. I totally understand, soon to be friend of the program, Luke Goedeke, why you would have your concerns there.
Yeah.
But for all the worries about a player that didn't, have a rocket ship strapped to their back and went straight to outer space with a phenomenal first year,
right.
For all of those worries with those type of players, you had Rachaad White, who promising, there's not a rocket strapped to his back yet either. Cade Otton, very promising player. Like, there's already guys that are on certain levels that you feel okay about. Some of those guys that you aren't are Logan Hall and Luke Goedeke. There's no question about that. But even if those 2 players are at their quote-unquote worst, there is enough depth at those positions. There's enough talent on this roster to overcome a couple of those players. I think you gotta take a grand look at everything. You can't just harp on Todd Bowles. I know everyone in the chat hates Todd Bowles. They think he's boneheaded. He makes all these mistakes. Yep. You can't just focus on all the negatives. How about the defense that he runs that kept the Bucs in all of these games last season? Okay. How about the fact that you have 2 of the best wide receivers in the NFL? For every negative you want to look at, you have to look at the positives too. You have to be fair about it. So
that's
I'm sick and tired of everybody just putting their damn heads in the sand, being like, there's no more Tom Brady. They're going to absolutely suck. They're not going to be great. But I'm willing to bet right now. I'll bet anybody in the comments and the chats. I do not care. Come December, that last month of the year, the Bucs are still going to be in the playoff picture, fighting for a playoff spot, maybe the NFC South, but most likely the wild card. I'm willing to put money on it right now. I do not care because it's been outlandish with just the doubt and the criticism of the Bucs.
Yeah, I agree, Matt. You look at that picture there of Mike Evans. I wrote about this in this week's SR's Fab Five. I think part of the reason why the offense stalled last year, didn't produce as many points, is his touchdowns were down, right? Now, he dropped one against Carolina, but I don't think the Buccaneers threw the fade route to him nearly as much as they needed to or should have last year. And part of that goes on Tom Brady's, right arm. He's got the ability to launch it Mike's way. The other part of it was maybe not enough fade routes or those little 1 and 2 yard wide receiver screens that Mike Evans around the goal line has actually been very successful in producing touchdowns. Remember, he's 6'5", 225 pounds. He's a big dude. Throw him the ball and let him just simply stretch out and get the touchdown. But his touchdowns were down from 14, which, that's a franchise record. But we've seen, Matt, Evans capable of getting 12 touchdowns in a season. He's done at least 12 4 times in his 9 seasons with the Bucs. So, but 6, that's not an acceptable number. He needs to get closer to 12. And I think if the Buccaneers do that, they're going to win more games. But back to Todd Bowles, you look at last year, the Bucs only won 8 games, right? 7 of those games, the Buccaneers won with the defense allowing 21 points or less. That's winning football in today's day and age. So out of the 10 games that the Buccaneers only allowed 21 points or fewer, they were 7-3 in those games, and they only won 8. So it's like Todd Bowles was doing his job on the defensive side. Now, I think it's all going to come down to Bowles' faith in Dave Canales. And is Dave Canales the guy that is going to take this offense to, I don't want to say the promised land, but at least more than 18 points per game? So if Todd Bowles got the Dave Canales hire correct, and this offense can produce 20, 21 points per game, here's the thing. If you took last year's season schedule, the results of last year, and if you only gave the Buccaneers 21 points, they scored more than 21 in some of those games, and they scored 21, or less in fewer games too, keep in mind. But if you gave them 21 points, Matt, in every game last year, they win 10 games.
Yeah.
Right? That's winning football. So if Canales' offense can produce a field goal more than the Bucs got last year, and they'll have a new field goal kicker, and that remains to be seen how good he is as well. But that could be the difference right there. For Todd Bowles, Dave Canales has to work. I think this offense has got to score at least 21 points per game. And I think that's the ticket to them having a winning season.
And you know why the hiring of Dave Canales is already a positive and, to a degree, a success? Because Todd Bowles doesn't really know Dave Canales. This isn't a recycled hire. That's right. The NFL at times can be a good old boys club. You hire someone that you coached with back in the day, someone that you were co-coordinators with. A lot of coaches get recycled either into other head coaching jobs or, you get fired from being a head coach, you go to offensive or defensive coordinator, and then you get your next opportunity. Todd Bowles hiring Dave Canales, someone that Bowles has admitted he didn't really know all too well. Now, granted, there's the hiring process and the interview process and everything, so he's gotten to know Dave Canales now. But I think the best thing the Bucs could have done is go with someone in a completely different direction, someone that they are somewhat unfamiliar with, someone that's going to bring a new set of eyeballs, new ideas, new concepts, things that I'm sure there are a little bit of a ruffling of the feathers between Bucs coaches of, well, we like to do it this way. But Dave Canales comes in and says, hold up. Well, what if we tried this instead? And all of a sudden it starts working. And I love the fact that it's not just Dave Canales. Obviously, Brad Isaac is in at wide receivers coach. Skip Pete at running backs coach. So there are changes all across the board. And that was, one of the things that I really want to address with, everyone doubting the Bucs and everyone sliding Tampa Bay, saying they're going to tank for Caleb Williams. They're going to tank for the number 1 pick. And we could talk about all the signings that they made, especially re-signings with Levante David and Jamel Dean. But how can you sit there and tell us that Todd Bowles isn't at least trying to put his team in the most successful situation that they can be in when, let's remember this team won 3 seasons ago in 2020. That buys coaches a lot of time where it's like, well, look what I did for you then. Despite all of that, he still fired Byron Leftwich. He still cleaned house on a lot of coaching positions on the offensive side of the football. How can you tell me it's a better idea if you're going to tank for the number 1 quarterback prospect to bring in new people for 1 year versus, well, we've been successful before. Last year didn't work out. Why don't we just keep the guys and see what goes? And if we tank, we tank. No, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't take you from point A to point B. Todd Bowles is making a legitimate effort to right the wrongs of last season by bringing in new people with new ideas. So how do you say they're going to tank when Dave Canales, this is the biggest opportunity of his career? He's been a quarterback's coach. He's been a wide receivers coach. Now he's going to be the offensive coordinator, and he's here to tank? Yeah. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I love the passion, Matt.
Thank you.
He's not going to hold anything back. I mean, Dave Canales is not going to be, having a bag of tricks off to the side that he's going to save and, for next year, whatever. You're going to see the kitchen sink on full display on the Bucs offense and defense this year. They're going for broke because, nobody said it, but you can look at the Glazers and their track record with coaches that they've hired. They give every coach at least 2 years. Now,
correct.
The real curious thing about Todd Bowles last year is he did win the NFC South title. He did get a playoff berth. It did result in a home playoff loss, which nobody liked, and it was a spanking at the hands of the Cowboys. Bucs weren't even in that game on either side of the ball. So you look at it and say, okay, well, he's got the NFC South title. It's a little banner they hang up in the little practice shed outside. At the same time, though, they were 8-9 during the regular season. You can sit there and make any excuses you want. Well, they were beating Atlanta, and if they kept Tom Brady in, they would have beat Atlanta. Okay, maybe that's the case. Todd Bowles decided to pull the starters, and they got outscored 20-0 in the second half with the Bucs backups in there. The NFL record books are going to count that as a loss regardless. So the Buccaneers finished 8-9. If you want to, do the whole pie in the sky thing and put the lipstick on the pig, you can say they finished 9-8, and I'll say they lost the playoff game, so they're 9-9 at best, right after the end of the season. Having said all of that, I think Todd Bowles is in some jeopardy unless he gets 9 wins. That would be improvement. I think that buys him another year. I don't know that he has to make the playoffs. If there's one team that really rises up in the South and gets 10 or 11 wins and wins the division, maybe 9-8 wins the division this year for the Buccaneers again. But I think he's got to win at least 9. Otherwise, he could be in some jeopardy. We'll see how the season plays out. But you know what? We're going to have a little bit more of an idea of what this team's going to look like tomorrow, Matt, because you and I are going to be out there at OTAs. So the Buccaneers have their last media open OTA for the offseason. And then the week after that, there'll be 3. Well, they're mini camp. They're mandatory mini camp. It's really OTAs again. It's just you got to show up for it. So we're going to find out if Devin White's going to show up, right? That's going to be one of the things we're going to look at, and we'll see some of the players that have not been at the OTAs, the ones that are open at least. Mike Evans,
Ryan Jensen,
Russell
Gage. The question with Russell Gage, is he actually injured, or is it just something very, very minute that, of course, Todd Bowles didn't want to talk about? But yeah, those are definitely a couple of guys that have not been there just yet. Shaq Barrett, we'll see. If he's in attendance. So
not sure if he'll be cleared to play in practice with that torn Achilles. I think they're targeting him for the start of the season. So my guess is he will be a bystander and not be participating. I pretty much guessed that to be fact. Then on Wednesday's show, and remember this offseason, we go Mondays and Tuesdays at 4 o'clock, and then Wednesdays and Thursdays in prime time to hit a different audience. And that's going to be, are the Bucs too young at some positions? Tight end room, awfully young. Safety room, very young. We'll discuss that on Wednesday night at 7. Then, of course, Luke Goedeke, our special guest. Bucs right tackle, not left guard, right tackle Luke Goedeke on Thursday's show. So that's what we have coming up for you this week. And, the other thing that is noteworthy, because it is a Monday, Matt, is we do this little thing, and we'll do it in 4 minutes. So hold off. Don't Don't type in the locations
Hold
yet.
your horses.
Hold your horses, right? We got a lot to talk about today, and we're going to do roll call today at 4:20, or better yet, it's known as
Roll call, baby. Where you at, Pewter people? Yes, we have awesome fans all over the globe, not just America, internationally as well. So this is just a fun way that we get to interact with all the Pewter people that we love so dearly. So
Mondays
in
are
4
great.
minutes, Monday, we make Mondays better than most typical Mondays. Mondays suck.
That's right.
It's the start of a work
they do.
week, but we make it a lot of fun, and you guys are a huge reason that it is fun. So at 4:20 in 3 minutes. Start putting in your location where you're watching from, whether it's Tampa, Florida, Albuquerque, New Mexico, or London, England. I don't know. Those are the 3 places that came to mind in my head. But start, putting it in the chat in 3 minutes, and we'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I came up with the topic for today's show, and I wrote about it last week, and we'll kind of dive into it on the other side of roll call. Just a quick little preview. There's 3 really, really bad narratives that are out there in the Twitter sphere right now about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And one of which is Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask struggling in OTAs with some errant throws. And we'll get to that. Boy, you talk about a case of selective editing. Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, and as Matt, he's been at every OTA along with myself, and JC Allen's been out there for 1 or 2. Listen, Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask complete a high percentage of their passes in this offense, like a lot. I would be shocked, and I haven't charted their throws on the open practices we've watched, but Matt, I'd be shocked if we're not talking about at least 65 to 75% of their completions in practice.
Scott, I don't care how absurd it gets. Tomorrow, as you said, we'll be at practice. I think I'm going to take video of like every single pass Baker throws. I don't care if it's a 2-yard, slant. And I'll be like,
let's chart it. Let's chart Baker tomorrow. Yeah,
what a fantastic completion by Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's righted all the wrongs of his previous OTAs. Yes, it is doctoring to the highest degree of these videos. And I think what's really frustrating is, it's one thing when it's the national media and they're not there all the time. There's only a select number of national media that really come. That's Jenna Lane of ESPN, of course, and Sarah Walsh from the NFL Network. They're the ones that are still. I mean, Jenna's been there a very long time, but Sarah is still going despite the fact that the Bucs aren't Super Bowl contenders like they were a year ago. But to see some of the national media, to see some of the local media put out these videos of, Baker struggling when, like, dude, you're standing right there next to us. Like, you're seeing all the same completed passes too. And to, just make these stupid videos. Listen, I get it.
I think what's happening is, and like Evan Klosky, he put out his clip, right, of Baker, missing a pass, but
he gave the full context.
He gave the whole context, and then Bleacher Report, some of these other places, they slice it and they show the 1 or 2 throws they want to show, which is Baker not connecting. And I'm not gonna damn Tanner Talua to hell or anything, but it's like, Tanner Talua is probably not going to be on this team, So sometimes it's on the receiver, not the quarterback.
Also true.
And I also remember Tom Brady not completing every pass, even in individuals as well. So that's one of the narratives. The other 2 we'll get to on the other side of roll call. The Bucs are tanking for Caleb Williams, and then of course the Bucs would, or could trade Mike Evans. Oh, what a stupid, tired narrative.
That's the worst. That is
media.
That is vomit inducing. Vomit-inducing to hear those words.
It is. Well, folks, we've teased it, we've talked about it, and now it's time for
roll call. Where are you at, Pewter people? We just explained it before, but I'll explain it again real quick. We love you guys so much. We love interacting with all the Pewter people watching and listening to this show. So right now, start putting in your location of where you are watching from, and we will put it on the screen. I saw Rick Hamilton before. A little bit of a false start, but that's okay. We'll wait for you now. He's watching from Louisville, Kentucky. Just like Rick did, start letting us know where you are watching from, and we will put it up on the screen.
Okay. Some ground rules. Now, I want you all to know I am a First Amendment free speech kind of guy, so I'm not trying to censor anybody or anything, but I will say we do have Luke Goedeke coming on Thursday, and he is a guest in our house here at the Pewter Report Podcast. And, you Pewter people, this is your house too. But we would like for the questions and the comments to be civil. How about that?
Yes.
Doesn't have to be nice.
Good word.
Doesn't have to be nice. Okay. Like you can criticize whoever you want. You can criticize me and Matt. We've put up comments, you guys taking us to task about things. That's fine. We're big boys. We can take it. But at the same time, we have Luke on the show, and we're looking for some engaging, thoughtful questions. And I think Luke is certainly, he'll own up to the fact he didn't have the best rookie season, right? Pro Football Focus detailed that with the weekly grades. However, the last 2 games that he played, Matt, were his best grades, and that's not just from Pro Football Focus. That's also from the Buccaneers too. It's like, Goedeke was a rookie last year, moved from right tackle to left guard, went from the Central Michigan to the NFL, from the right side to the left side. There were 3 kind of big obstacles in his path there. And not everyone's Ali Marpet, right? Where he made a seamless transition from Hobart College left tackle to right guard in the NFL, and it made it look easy, okay? Not everyone's Ali Marpet. Sometimes you're a Rondé Barber, right? That's right. Sometimes you're a Rondé Barber, where you're so bad as a rookie that you only see action, I think, in 3 games his rookie season. This was the 3rd-round draft pick of the Bucs in 1997. And covering Rondé taught me a very valuable lesson as a Bucs beat writer and a team reporter. It says patience is a virtue. You have to give guys a chance to develop. Not everyone's going to be a Tristan Wirfs or an Ali Marpet or an Antoine Winfield. They're going to come out of the gate guns a-blazing and live up to their draft billing, okay? Rondé Barber was so bad. And this is on a team that had Donnie Abraham, who was a rookie sensation in 1996, 3rd-round pick out of East Tennessee State, had 5 interceptions as a rookie. Still, to this day, owns the Bucs rookie record for single-season interceptions. Rondé Barber was awful. And they so bad that they spent a 2nd-round draft pick the next year on Brian Kelly, cornerback out of USC. Okay. Mm-hmm. That lit a fire under Rondé. And sure enough, within 2 years, and by 1999, Rondé Barber was Rondé Barber, right? And then played, I want to say, for 16 seasons with the Buccaneers. He played for so long, I can't even remember how long he played. I want to say 2012 was his last year under Greg Schiano. So give Luke Goedeke some slack. He's going to be playing his right tackle position. That's the position he's most comfortable at. He played there in 1 game in Week 18 against the Falcons, showed the team enough that they're going to give him a shot there. They're penciling him in the depth chart, Matt. They're not putting it in pen right now, but he's going to be the guy that's going to be probably given the first crack at the season opener, playing right tackle, unless the wheels fall off the wagon for some reason in training camp. But before you write off this guy and say he's a bust, remember that this guy was also a bust at one point. And look where he's going to be now on August 5th. He's actually going to have a bust in Canton, Ohio. I'm going to be there at Rondé Barber's Hall of Fame induction. So it's not how you start in this league. It's how you finish. And we'll see if Luke Goedeke sinks or swims, if he walks or crawls or runs, and we'll see how he develops. But give him some time before you write him off. And know that the last 2 games that he played, again, that Week 18 game against the Falcons was his highest grade of any of his individual grades during the regular season. Then when he played left guard again against the Cowboys in what ended up being the real season finale, because that was the playoff loss, he actually graded higher there at left guard than he did the week prior. So he made some strides during his rookie season, and we'll see how comfortable he is on the right side. All we ask is that you join us Thursday night when Luke Goedeke comes on, and just keep the comments civil. That's all.
And yeah, just keep an open mind going into this season. Not everybody is just amazing right away. We've made this comparison before, but someone like Alex Kappa, again, didn't start right away, kind of like how Luke Goedeke did. But it took him a couple of years, and then he became a very, very formidable
Yeah.
starting offensive lineman for the Buccaneers. So I think you just gotta hold on to that. You know, with Luke Goedeke having such little exposure to the NFL level playing offensive tackle. I know that he did in college. That's great. Whoop-de-doo. But only playing a little bit at the NFL level, the world is still his oyster, like going into this season at a new spot. And it's a great opportunity to just kind of start fresh, start new. And it's all up to him because, as you said, it's in pencil right now, not pen. But this is on him. If he wants to win that job, the Bucs are going to give him every opportunity to. He doesn't have to worry about, Tristan Wirfs or Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith's not there anymore. Obviously, Tristan's on the other side. The depth is great on the interior offensive line, but a little bit questionable on outside at tackle. So Goedeke needs to win it, but the Bucs secretly kind of need it too because I don't feel great about their depth there.
Yeah, and they've got a second-round draft pick invested in him, so they have to find out, just like they have to find out about Kyle Trask this year. They have a second-round draft pick invested in him. So, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to draft picks, you got to make Celsius your number one pick, right? If you're looking for an energy drink to get you going in the morning, to power you through the afternoon, as fuel for your workout, make Celsius your number one pick. And that one right there is a pretty darn good one. That new Oasis vibe is delicious, folks. Sparkling, prickly pear, and lime. It's available at Target. I think they've got about 90 days since the launch where it's only available at Target. Then it goes nationwide. So we're kind of approaching that mark right now. So for this summer, it's going to be available in other places, but you can find it at Target right now. That sparkling lemon lime is also another great afternoon flavor. I kickstarted my morning this morning with an orange, which is my all-time favorite. But folks, whether it's the Oasis vibe or the more traditional Arctic vibe, peach vibe, tropical vibe, they also have that new fantasy vibe as well. So many delicious flavors of Celsius, and to give you all the energy that you need, the essential energy without the sugar crash, because there's no sugar. So where can you find this delicious, tasty beverage that is the official energy drink of Pewter Report? Well, I'll tell you. You can go to Celsius.com, click on the store locator, type in your address, and you'll find all of these convenience stores, these health and fitness stores, grocery stores, and what's that word? Bodega around you to grab a can of Celsius. Once you find the flavors that you like, go to Amazon, buy them in bulk, and save some money with the subscribe and save option and ship them right to your door. And Celsius is also available on Instacart. Celsius, the official energy drink of Pewter Report.
Make sure you get it now.
All right, Matt, let's dive into some bad throws by Baker Mayfield because he's a bad quarterback with bad throws, right? That's just a bad narrative. It's just a bad narrative. But I trust that you've got a couple of clips lined up.
Yeah, so there's
All
two.
right.
This one's pretty quick, and it's taken at a different angle, so you'll see us in the background. But it's just a quick hit.
Oh, God, Baker. Oh. Man.
Season's over. This next one.
Give Trask the job now.
A little more professionally done. A couple of incompletions, a couple of completions as well. So a little bit more of the.
Is this from Evan Klosky? Is this the whole reel from him?
This might be, or Kyle Berger, one of the two.
Okay, all right. All right. So there's some footage there. ABC Action News all over it there. And, that gives you a little taste of what we've seen. Now, that's the individual period, right? That's where it's just throwing to wide receivers and tight ends, a lot of tight ends in this particular clip here. And what you need to understand about this, and I'm not trying to be an apologist, I'm just trying to give some factual context around here, is Baker Mayfield, up until about 6 weeks ago, hadn't thrown to any of these guys, none of them. And some of these guys, like Payne Durham, Dominique Daphne, and some of these newer tight ends, even Kyle Trask had never thrown to before, and he's been here for 2 years. These are brand new tight ends and receivers. Some guys are faster than others, right? We know Payne Durham runs close to like a 5 flat. He's not the fastest tight end, right? Cade Otton is faster. O'Keefe, not much of a receiving tight end. He had 12 catches in his entire Minnesota career, okay? Yeah. So I'm just adding a little bit of context here just to kind of tell the story. Mike Evans runs at a different speed than Chris Godwin does. He runs at a different speed than Russell Gage does. So this is what the offseason's for. This is what practice is for. It's to get a read and a bead on how fast do I have to throw the ball and how far can I lead a receiver or tight end with my throws, because you're throwing to different guys with different catch radiuses, with different speeds, right? Different acceleration out of the breaks. So you have to learn these guys. And I would imagine, Matt, that we're probably going to be hearing about Baker Mayfield and or Kyle Trask doing some summer school with these receivers and tight ends as well, right? We saw Tom Brady do that before training camp started. And I think we're going to see the same thing after the mini camp is over, because these guys clearly need some more work together.
Yeah, it could be some type of passing academy or whatever fun phrase they want to use. I think Grizz, not Taylor Jenkins, but shout out to Taylor Jenkins, but this Grizz, I agree with this comment a ton. How do you develop timing with guys you just met 4 days ago? You go through multiple reps over a period of time. And just for context, like the videos that you just saw there from ABC Action News, the videos that like we put up on our social media when we're at practice, you mentioned before, it's just the it's just kind of like the warm up, the training period.
Right.
We have to stop filming and taking video at a certain point when they start doing 11 on 11 and 7 on 7. So,
and honestly, the last Tuesday, they kind of caught fire, right?
Exactly. Like Kyle Trask throwing touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield threw
John Wolford
to Trey Palmer for a touchdown where he was wide open, where it was busted coverage, but still he hit him. John Wolford throwing touchdowns as well. So you're only seeing like maybe 30% of like what they're what's actually going on. And also, we talked about Mike Evans. Baker Mayfield was not throwing to Mike Evans. Those incomplete passes, that was not to Mike or Russell Gage. Chris Godwin is there. Do you see any incompletions to Chris Godwin? No. There's none to Chris Godwin. It's third and fourth string tight ends. Even that throw to O'Keefe, the one where it went back to back, where Kyle Trask had an incompletion and then Baker threw it to O'Keefe and that was incomplete. I don't know. If you watch it again, you can make the case that O'Keefe just dropped it and it hit him in the hand.
Goes right through his hands.
He dropped it. So the exaggeration is absolutely through the roof. But I get it. In today's social media, everyone's looking for a click or, you want this video to get a bunch of numbers. So
it's still news, right? If it bleeds, it leads. And there's all this Baker Mayfield blood all over the field and Kyle Trask blood because they both suck and all this stuff. And it just... It's just not telling the whole story. Yes.
But people think that's what's going on. And that's the issue is people think that, this is how Baker looks the whole time. There's no way the Bucs are going to win anything. I hope Vegas sees that and they put the Bucs over under wins down to 5.5. I would love that because I would take that in a second.
And still 6.5 seems a little low to me. 7.5. 8.5, like, okay, then you're kind of getting into no man's land because you never know with injuries or whatever. I'm just thinking the Bucs are winning at least 7 games this year. I just can't believe that otherwise. So just to kind of put a period on the end of this, I've seen some really bad Buccaneer quarterback play in my time. Chris Sims had some just absolutely god-awful practices. Some were so bad that I really felt sorry for Chris, because Chris was a good guy and Gruden was just demoralizing him, right? Because he just was not good. And some of this was before his injury. Then once he lost the spleen, all that stuff, that was afterwards too. Josh Freeman, Mike Glennon, right? I mean, we've seen some quarterbacks that just not very good. And Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask are both looking better, at least in the two practices we've seen. And we'll see. We'll have by the time minicamp rolls around, we'll have seen 3 open OTAs or 4 by that point in time. And then 3 training camp or 3 mini camp practices. So we'll have over a handful of practices under our belt that we've been able to watch and have a better understanding of it. At the same time, too, everything we've heard from Kate Otten and from the quarterbacks is this is a very quarterback friendly system, a lot of easy completions. And again, I'm going to be watching this because we're going to be talking about this tomorrow's show. Cheap little plug here for the Tuesday show. But the OTA analysis, I'm going to be looking at the instant impact DBs, guys like Ryan Neal, guys like Chris Isian, Josh Hayes, some of the newer players, the Kayvon Merriweathers, and see how they do. But Matt, I was a little worried about the defensive backs last Tuesday because there was a high percentage of completions being completed against them. I'm like, where are the pass breakups? Where's the interceptions? If Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask are so bad, we have not seen the interceptions or the pass breakups or anything like that with the regularity that you would think.
I hear you, but I'll calm your nerves with a couple of points to that. One, you don't even have the full secondary there at the moment. Carlton Davis wasn't there. 2, it's May, now June. So a long way to go. But I think also, especially with interceptions, it's the ebb and flow of the game and practice, and with no pass rush and blitzes where, yes, the blitz is coming, but you just run right past the quarterback because you can't hit him.
It favors the offense.
It absolutely favors the offense. And I think the biggest thing that favors this offense specifically, where it's like, oh, the defense isn't getting interceptions, what's going wrong? Or there's so many completions happening. What's the problem there? If this was the Arians type of offense, vertical,
great point,
down the field, yes, that's concerning. It takes longer to develop. You have more time to stick with your receivers. As we've seen already, the meshes, the waggles, the quick little short 4 or 5 yard routes, you're getting rid of the ball quicker, and you're just getting to space much, much faster, where the defense is playing zone. You're going to allow those passes because there's no really other way to defend it if the receiver runs 3 yards, then finds an open spot in the pocket, again, with no pass rush going on where the D-line can't really affect the play.
That's right. So we've got one really, really bad narrative down. Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask aren't that bad. And we'll have more for you tomorrow's show. We'll have another OTA to watch, and we'll talk about that. And we'll also have, an update on what happens with the quarterback battle all through minicamp the next week. But the second narrative we kind of need to take some issue with is that the Bucs are tanking for Caleb Williams. If you've seen any of these mock drafts, you know that the Buccaneers are pretty much a lock to be picked anywhere in the top 10, some even the top 5. Some even have the Bucs, getting picked number 1 or 2 overall and getting a quarterback like Caleb Williams from USC or Drake May from North Carolina. But I'll just say this. Todd Bowles doesn't want to lose his job. Jason Light doesn't want to lose his job. The NFC South, I don't see the team that got clearly better this year. For all of the free agents that the Falcons signed, and they signed a boatload of them, they still don't have as many Pro Bowl guys as the Buccaneers do. Now, Pro Bowl, I'll be the first to admit, it's a popularity contest more than anything. But at the same time, I think guys that typically we're thinking about that have made the Pro Bowl for the Buccaneers are legitimate. Right. Ryan Jensen, when he made it, that was a legitimate selection. Levante David, Devin White, he's had some flashes of greatness. I think he deserved a Pro Bowl honor. Honestly, I thought he deserved it in 2020, but he didn't make it. The Bucs only had one Pro Bowl player in 2020.
Scott, I want to stop you. No, I was going to give it up to as a trivia question for everybody in the chat to see who can get it. But that's all right. Yes, it is crazy. JPP was the only guy from that 2020 team.
Yep. So, but at the same time, the next year, I think the Bucs had like 9 Pro Bowlers, right? So, Winfield, Tristan Wirfs, all that. So, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they've got a lot of talent on this team that have been there and done that, and they know how to win. And at the same time, too, this is an NFC South division that's still wide open. So I'm giving the Buccaneers the benefit of the doubt that they're the leader in the clubhouse. And also, too, I think that this offense is going to take a little bit of time for division foes, for the teams that are the early part of the schedule for the Buccaneers to kind of figure out, right? Like you could – the Bruce Arians offense honestly became predictable by 2022. Last year, it was predictable. The play calling was predictable. That's on Byron Leftwich. But the routes and the concepts, all of that, that's why you saw the Buccaneers roll into Pittsburgh with that depleted secondary. No TJ Watt, no Micah Fitzpatrick. The only defensive star they had was Cameron Jordan or Cameron Hayward. And he gave Luke Goedeke fits and single-handedly destroyed the Bucs offense with that matchup. But all of those backup players in Pittsburgh in the secondary were able to shut down the Buccaneers offense because Mike Tomlin went up against this Bruce Arians offense in training camp for years. And he knew it. And he knew the routes they were going to run, the concepts, what they wanted to do, what their tendencies were. And he just outcoached Byron Leftwich because that was a defense versus offense matchup. The Buccaneers scored less than 21 points in that game. And the rest is history. So this offense, you can look at Seattle and you can look at some of those things conceptually, but Dave Canales is a wild card. He has not called a game. He hasn't called a play in the NFL. So for the Vikings, for the Bears in week 2, for some of those early season opponents for the Buccaneers, I think there's some opportunities for some real surprises. And I'm not saying the Bucs are going to light up the scoreboard coming out of the gates, Matt, but if I'm the Vikings and the Bears and some of those early season opponents, I'm kind of scratching my head as to what film do I watch? They're not going to show a bunch during the preseason.
Maybe it benefits the Bucs in a way. Starting out against Minnesota, say what you will, some people think that they're frauds. At the end of the day, they won their division last year. And then week 3, they play against the Eagles. We all know they're damn good. And then the following week, they play the Saints, who I know they swept the Saints last year, but by no means was it easy. So it almost is better that the Bucs are playing some really good quality teams early in the season where you have the element of surprise. And that could be a great factor in so many different ways. But when you talk about the offense, I go back to what Rachaad White said last week. I think he said it really well when describing this new offense. He called it eye candy.
Yes.
Because people are moving around. And he said it, essentially, he said, like, while people are moving around and there's all this motion, it's still simple at the end of the day. And I think that's what this offense needs a little bit more than anything else. When you have 2 great wide receivers like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, all you need to do is simplify things. You don't need to do all this extensive, chaotic type of stuff. Sometimes, and this goes back to throwing the fade ball to Mike Evans, just put it out there for them to have an opportunity to make the play. And you know what?
That's right.
Most of the time, Mike and Chris are going to get the job done. But as far as the Bucs not tanking in general, and I spoke earlier today on the show this afternoon about why bringing in Dave Canales, a first-time play caller, why that shows that they're not tanking, because why would Dave Canales get this biggest opportunity of his life just to come in and tank? That makes no sense. But I think you also have to look at the players that they brought in a little bit more specifically on the defensive side of players that they re-signed. Why on earth would the Bucs tank if they're bringing back a legend to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Levante David for, a cheaper price than what they had previously paid him during his tenure with the Bucs, but still not exactly the most inexpensive contract of all time. and re-signing Jamel Dean to a great deal because everyone thought he was going to get overpaid.
Sure. And why would Dean want to come back if this was a franchise going nowhere, right?
Yeah. Besides the no state income tax with Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of that, yeah, it doesn't make much sense. And then getting someone like Ryan Neal, who, again, I always go back to like similarities to Shaq Barrett, different positions, but Shaq, behind all of these great players, gets an opportunity to start and went insane with it. Ryan Neal's trying to do that same exact thing now, but at the safety position, lining up next to Antoine Winfield Jr. The hires that they made, the signings that they made, do not add up to a team that is
Ryan Neal wanted to come to Tampa Bay for 2 words: Todd Bowles. He wanted to play for Todd Bowles, right? It's that simple. And I know the Bowles haters out there might drive him crazy, but I'm just telling you, Ryan Neal's a damn good safety, one of the highest rated safeties last year, according to Pro Football Focus. And I'm not sure why Seattle wanted to part ways with them. That they viewed somebody else, one of their signings, as an upgrade. I'd rather have Ryan Neal, but that's the reason why he wanted to come to Tampa, was to play in this Todd Bowles defense, which is very safety friendly, and he'll be paired with Antoine Winfield, and we'll be keeping a close eye on him tomorrow. Remember, 4:00. We're gonna have. I'm gonna keep my eye on the defensive backs and secondary, see how they really do. I'm really gonna hone in on them tomorrow. And folks, if you want to hone in on your finances, well, I can tell you where to do that. It's at Muni Financial.
At Muni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you? Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it. All right.
Yeah. We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track, so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. Muni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
That's right, folks. You can get to Colorado too, whether you move there, as my aunt and uncle did, or you vacation there, as Ashley and I did for our 10-year anniversary. And you can go anywhere you want to go, whether it's saving up for your college, your kids' colleges, saving up your retirement, anything that you want to do when it comes to legacy and retirement plans. Get the pros in your side, and that's at Muni Financial. Managing your family's wealth means more to Muni Financial than simply allocating your assets. It means legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts, college savings accounts, and insurance services. With 40 years of experience, not just in Tampa Bay, not just in Florida, but across the country, let Muni Financial help you plan ahead and stay ahead. Do what I did. Give Muni Financial a call. Tell them Scott Reynolds sent you. 1-800-868-6864, or visit them on the web at muni.com.
Scott, the last one that we have to address, which again is vomit-inducing, but the idea that the Bucs are going to trade Mike Evans, the first draft pick that general manager Jason Light ever made, the greatest offensive player in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history, future Hall of Famer, future Bucs Ring of Honor member, better person than he is a player, and that says a lot, talking about how great of a player that he is.
Saints
fighter, a guy that will stand up for all of his teammates and the practice squad too. They are not shipping Mike Evans anywhere. I don't care if they don't win a game next season, unless a team says we will give you 10 first-round picks for Mike Evans. That's probably a little extreme. But, yeah, I don't see Mike Evans going anywhere. It doesn't even really make much sense for the Bucs anyway, besides getting draft capital. Like, financially, it doesn't really help them too much. They're better off, giving him an extension, which you obviously wrote about in a recent SR's fan.
It's coming, Well, and see, that's the thing, too. It's like, if I was a national writer, right, and I was going to do some crazy story like SI.com did, and they, looking at every, a player in every roster that could be traded. I mean, why not use Devin White? They're not going to trade him. They said that they're not going to, but if they're going to trade either Mike Evans or Devin White, it would be Devin White, not Mike Evans, because I'm not sure about Devin White's future in Tampa. But I know that Mike Evans has a future in Tampa. He's looking to get 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and he's I think he turns 30 in August, so he's not even 30
August
yet.
21st. Yeah.
Yeah. So he still has several good years worth of play left in him. Why would they trade him this year when they have Chris Godwin and Russell Gage as the only other veterans on this team? Just doesn't make any sense. So sometimes you have these national guys, they're just looking for a narrative.
Yeah,
and
there was
they
someone
say,
months ago that said that the Bucs should trade Antoine Winfield Jr. And I was like, what? That makes even less sense.
Yeah. I don't know. If I was a national writer, I would look for, I was going to write about the Bills. I would look for the Pewter Report of the Bills, right? Or if I was writing about the Saints, not that I would. I mean, who wants to write about the Saints? But I mean, I would look for the Black and Gold, or the Saints Report, or whatever publication.
Nick Underhill, he usually breaks a lot of.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, just go to the national media and say, is this a plausible idea? Just otherwise, you look foolish.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this year of all years, if you're going to write about the Buccaneers, write about maybe the Bucs trading Devin White and explore that possibility. But trading Mike Evans does nothing to help this team. And I'm not exactly sure what Mike Evans would fetch. And it certainly wouldn't be enough. I'm with you, Matt. It would have to be multiple first rounders. And I think for a player that would need a contract extension, something that's going to be in that $16 to $20 million, actually it's going to be $20 million. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to give Mike Evans the Chris Godwin deal, $20 million, maybe $20 million and $1. So he's like one A.
Has bragging rights
to Chris Godwin's 1B. But I don't think Mike cares about money. I really don't. I think Mike gives away more money than we even know about. Like some of the charitable stuff he does through the Mike Evans Family Foundation, we know about. I've heard from team sources that he does not publicize all of the charitable donations and money that he doles out to people in need, not just in Tampa, but Galveston and other places.
That does not shock me in the least. I remember there was a story, and forgive me, I forgot who the player was, but it was like a wide receiver that was a bubble guy, probably didn't end up making the team, but like his house caught on fire, and Mike like donated a bunch of money to him to get his house restructured. I remember I saw something on social media like a year or two ago. Yeah. Mike was at Fresh Kitchen. He loves Fresh Kitchen, so I'm not giving anything away. A lot of Bucs fans know this. But like someone saw him, asked for a picture. He obviously gladly obliged. And then they went inside to like go get their meal or whatever. And they were like, oh, Mike Evans paid for everybody at Fresh Kitchen right now. Yeah. And, just like those little things that Mike does. And
he's special, folks. He's an icon. I mean, he is just as important to this franchise on the offensive side as Levante David is. And no disrespect to Levante, but like you said, Matt, he's the best offensive player of all time.
And Mike had a great quote. I remember this specific. I probably wrote a story on it. It was after they won the Super Bowl, and he did Michael Irvin's podcast, the Hall of Fame wide receiver. And Mike was on it. And he was kind of asked about like the fact that he always restructures every year to help the team with the salary cap and taking less money to help guys and all that stuff. When you restructure, you're not taking less money, but again, different discussion. And he was like, at the end of the day, if I give away some money or whatever, like if you win, you get it back anyway. Like, because if you win the Super Bowl, you get endorsements and you get more publicity and all that stuff. So he's like, winning's all I ever really cared about, because if you win, good stuff comes with it. The money comes with it and all that types of things. And,
and you know what? Here's the crazy thing. Like, we live here in Tampa. We don't see Mike Evans like hawking cars, or he's not a spokesperson around here. I don't think that stuff really matters to him. I think he loves playing video games.
Yeah,
and
he does.
Family
he loves
time.
Basketball.
Yeah, he loves basketball. But I think he loves winning. He loves football. I mean, this is a job. It's a passion for him. And I don't think that he is looking to, I don't know, maybe Fresh Kitchen, they get him as a spokesperson now after this. I don't know, but I'm just saying he's not on any local spokesman or pitch duty, right?
And I'm sure he could if he wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think that's important to him. I mean, again, this is a guy who probably in his mind thinks, wow, how much more money do I need, right? He could play hardball with the Buccaneers and probably get more than $20 million. But I think that the team's going to do right by Mike and say, we'll pay you what we paid Chris like
Yeah.
2 years ago. And
Yeah.
I think Mike will take it because at the end of the day, he likes
the
playing
best.
with.
He's the
He
best.
is the best. He likes playing with his dudes. Chris is a dude. He loves this team. He loves Tampa Bay, and he loves giving money away. So however much the team gives him, he's going to be giving X amount of it away.
One last thing, as we
and they're not
wrap
going to
up.
be giving him away. They're not going to be trading him.
They're
away.
not giving Mike Evans away. Don't you worry, Bucs fans. The
Yep.
last thing I want to say about Mike as we wrap up the show, you talked about before that he's going to try to get his 10th consecutive season with 1,000 yards, the most in career, the most in NFL history in anyone's career starting since their rookie season, getting 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
I do think it is kind of cool as well, a little feather in the cap, if you want to say. The fact that he's done it, or if he gets it this year, with so many different quarterbacks. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, well, he played with Tom Brady. He's been fantastic. Like, nah, he went through the ringer of a lot of different quarterbacks. And then if he does it this year with, either Baker or Kyle Trask, whoever wins the job, I think that adds like a little bit more to his resume besides just he did it for 1,000 years. No.
Sure.
Or 1,000 years did it for 10 years, 1,000 yards. Like,
Yep.
no. He did it with like 4 or 5 different
Mike
quarterbacks.
Glennon, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jameis Winston, Tom Brady. So
probably caught a pass from Blaine Gabbert.
Probably caught a pass from Blaine Gabbert. And then, yeah, man. So I don't know. Hopefully you had some fun with us kind of debunking some of these terrible media narratives that are out there about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're not going to be that bad this year, folks. We're not going to say they're going to be good. We'll see how they end up faring at the end of the season, but I don't think they're going to be that bad. Not bad where they're going to be doing a fire sale, trading Mike Evans. Not bad where they're going to be getting a top 10 pick, and Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask. One of those two is going to be the starting quarterback. Gosh darn it! And they're not going to be that bad either.
No. And if you want to see us talk more about Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, please follow us on our social media and go to pewterreport.com on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Our social media is at Pewter Report. And then, of course, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. We have a lot of great videos out now. James Hill, our newest addition to pewterreport.com, putting out some videos. We had another video of Rachaad White talking about the Bucs offense too. So a ton of great content. Please like and subscribe to all of our platforms, especially our YouTube. But that's going to do it for us on tonight's show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching. We love you. And we will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another edition of the Pewter Report Podcast. More OTAs.
More OTAs.
Out.